concept of preferred numbers and engineering materials. Okay. Now, what is preferred number? Now, in any mechanical or any engineering design, the designer has to specify the size of the product. So that's the step number. I think that's the step number 6, determination of dimensions and the shape. Okay. So designer has to specify the size of the product. Now, what do I mean by size of the product? The size of the product means, like, for example, not only a geometric dimensions. Try to understand this. The size of the product includes a power transmission capacity, maybe a load carrying capacity, okay, maybe a speed and a geometric dimensions of the component. Okay, so this all comes under the size of the product, right? Uh, Now, the size of the product, which includes the different parameters, are expressed numerically, right? For example, the capacity will be expressed as 5 kilowatt, load carrying capacity as 10 kilonewton, or maybe speed is indicated as 1000 rpm. So this all indicates the size of the product. I hope you understand this. Okay. Now, what is the effect or what is the use of this preferred number in this size in specifying the size of the product? Am I Are you clear? Is specifying the size of the product. What is the exactly role of this preferred number? So that we have to understand. Now, basically, what happens? Any manufacturer, you can take an example of a, let us say, you can take an example of an electric motor. Now, basically, the product is manufactured in different sizes or models, right? Let us say an electric motor. Now, a company or a manufacturer which is manufacturing electric motor, okay, he has to manufacture an electric motor with different sizes. Am I correct? Means what, he will just not manufacture only one size electric motor, because electric motor is required by different users for the different application. So he has to specify some range. Let us say that he is manufacturing a 7 different motors ranging from a zero point 0.5 to 50 kilowatt. Okay, for home appliances, maybe you will taking a 2 kilowatt. For larger appliances, you will be taking a 42 kilowatt. Okay, so depending upon the this kilowatt, okay, that is the power transmitting capacity of the motor. Okay, accordingly the user will buy. So this manufacturing of electric motor has to be in a different ranges. Now the question is that how will you select the range? Which will, let us say, can you do this randomly? Let us say I am selecting zero point 0.5, 1.5. Then I am selecting 2.5. I am selecting 2.6. Then I am selecting, let us say, 50. So in this random process, okay, instead of manufacturing only 7, I will go on manufacturing maybe 700 motors. What will happen? It will waste of time, waste of money, and that electric motor or that product will be not used in the market also, because in market it is a very specific. The market is very specific because it is using maybe only a zero point 0.5, maybe 2, maybe 1.5, maybe 7. So there are the specific numbers which the market will use the electric motor. So there has to be some concept based on which the manufacturer can decide what is the range and what are the different electric motors it can manufacture. Does it mean yes or no, if you understand? Okay. So now now again there's another concept called as standardization. Now again the company has to follow the standardization also, as I explained earlier. So it has to apply, it has to, you can say, follow the government norms. Okay. So basically with the acceptance of the standardization, there is need to keep the standard sizes or dimensions of the any component or product in a discrete state. Okay, if the standards has to be followed, if you want to, if the company want to manufacture the standard sizes or dimension, the, let us say, electric motor has to be in a discrete state. You understand what we mean by a discrete? At a specific range level, right? Not continuous. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. So let us understand the next point now. So, and whenever you are selecting the sizes should be spread over the wide range and spaced properly. For example, let's say you're taking a zero point 0.5, directly you're taking a 25, directly you're taking a 50. What will happen? It is okay. It is spread over a wide range. but it is not spaced properly, right? So you should select the sizes in such a way that it should be in a wide range and spaced properly. For example, you should take like this: 0.5, maybe 2.5, maybe 5, maybe then 10, maybe then 50, maybe then 20, 25, 30, or 35. Okay, I hope you understand. But let us not do it randomly. Okay, let us use some concept. Okay, let us take in one more example. I will give one example so you understand. Let us take an example of a shaft. Now, if shaft diameters are to be standardized between 10 mm and 20 mm, what is a shaft? You have to design a shaft or manufacture a shaft, a standard sizes of the shaft between 10 mm to 25 mm diameter. So basically, how will you manufacture it? With like using the, it should not be like 10 mm, 12.5 mm, 16, 20. It is not spaced properly. How it should be 10, 11. Okay, sorry. It's opposite. It should be like 10 mm, 12.5 mm, 16 mm, 20 mm, 25 mm. It should not be like this. 10 mm, 11 mm, then directly jump to 30, directly jumping to 18, directly jumping to 25. It is not spaced properly, and it is not spread over wide range. I hope you understand this. So, considering all these parameters, preferred numbers are used. Okay. So, the geometric series, the geometric series is called as a preferred number or preferred series. Okay. The use of geometric series. Geometric series means what? The geometric series which you are using to space the properly this particular range of a particular product is called as a preferred number or a preferred series. Is the concept clear? Is the concept clear? So now there's a scientist called as a Charles Renard. So in the 19th century, he has designed or he has specified his preferred number. Okay. Now, basically, let us understand what he has done. Okay, there are the basic 5 series of preferred numbers. Okay, he has given you the 5 series. So we are always following these 5. What are these 5 series? R5, R10. Oh, again the same problem. Sorry once again. Okay. Yeah. So what he has given us? He has given a 5 basic series: R20, R14, R18. Five basic series are are used to decide the range. Okay. Now these 5 basic series has a series factor: 1.58, 1.26, 1.12, 1.0, and 1.6. Try to understand that each series which is called as a preferred number series. This R5 series means what? It is a preferred number series, and this 1.5 means what? It's a series factor. Okay. Now what we exactly do? I'll just take an example, rightly example. Okay. Now let us say that a lifting tackle manufacturer. Oh, shit. The problem again and again. I'm sorry for you again. Okay. So what I was discussing about the example. Okay. So let us say that a lifting tackle manufacturer want to introduce 9 models of capacities ranging from 50 to 100 kilometers. Okay. What is the range? 15 to 100 kilometers. In 15 to, this is a range. Okay. I will write it. What is the range? The range is 15 to 100 kilonewton. Now, when the range is 15 to 100 kilonewton, in this range, there is lifting tackle manufacturer want to introduce 9 models. How many models he want to introduce? 9 models. Now, how will you select the range? How will you select the sizes? Whether you will select a 15, 16, or 100. How he will select? That is the question. Okay. So for that we will use a series. Okay. Now, which series to use? That is the first question. And how to use the series? That is the second question. Okay. So let us solve this. The first. Okay. Now, basically, when we start, okay, when you want a very less number of components, let us say now, if you want, let us say now you just want only a small, you can say small number, 9. 9 is a very, very small number. Okay, so in that case, you can go for R5 or maybe R10 series or maybe a R20 series. Okay, but when you want a large number of sizes, you can go for R40 series, you can go for R80 series. Is it clear? So depending on the number, you can say the numbers. Okay. So initially, basically try to understand that whenever some manufacturer is introducing some component or product in the market, initially he will not manufacture hundreds of products, right? He will just manufacture maybe 5 to 10 because he has to observe it. How is the sale? Whether the product is gaining, for example, any mobile phone when it comes to the market, maybe first 1,000 pieces will come, maybe first 10,000 pieces will come, and then turnover will go to the lakhs. So basically, first you have to go start with the small series where you will get a less count, less sizes, and then you can increase if you found that the sale has increased. Is it clear? Message me yes or no. Okay. So now just tell me which series you will use for this R5, R10, R20. Let us say I'm using the R10 series because I just want a 9 model. So what you see, the series is established by first taking the first number and multiplying it by series factor to get a second number, and second number is again multiplied by the series factor to get a third number and so on. And this procedure is repeated until the complete series is built up and the resultant numbers are rounded. So series is established by taking the first number. What is the first number in this case? The first number in this case is the 15. Okay. So let us say you are taking a R series. Let us say you are taking a R10 series. What is the series factor? Series factor is 1.20. Okay. So what you will do? Multiply by 1.26. You will get some answer. Okay. Now this answer multiply again 1.20. You will get some answers to this answer to multiply by 1.6. So in this way, we will get this range. And now you can see by using the series factor, I have got a good range, a wide range 16, 20, 25, 31, 40, 50, 63, 80. And now you can see that this, you have got a limited number of sizes also, which the company can manufacture, and again they are properly spaced. So those who want close to 100, they can take 80. Those who want 100, they can take 100. Those who want 50, they can take 50. Those who want maybe 10, they can take 60. Is it clear? So my dear students, this is the, you can say, the importance and use of record number, and mostly standard companies, as I say, like bearings, oil change manufacturers, roller manufacturers, chain manufacturers will use this. Is it clear? Okay. So now this is the preferred number series. So again same. Okay, preferred number series, you can see this is a table which is created. So I will just help you to understand how this table is created. Okay, let us the first number is R5. Okay, 1. 1.0, let us select the first number 1.0 R5. Okay, then let us say for R10, again 1. Okay, now from this one, I will get 1.25. How? What is the series factor of R.10? Let us say 1.26. So you multiply this 1.26 to 1, you will get 1.25. Then for R20, again you go on multiply. For R40, again you go on multiply. So in this way, you just go on multiplying and just go on increasing. Okay, so let us understand some concepts. Okay, now if you observe from the table that the smaller sizes differ from each other by smaller amount while larger sizes by large amount. What do you mean by this statement? A very, very important statement. Okay, if you look over here, okay, if you take the smaller series R5, R10, maybe R20, okay, the difference between the two, okay, is smaller. The difference between the two is smaller, right? I hope you understand. See, Smaller sizes differ from each other by smaller amount, while the larger sizes by larger amounts. Okay. So as the size go on increasing, the difference will go on increasing. Okay. We'll understand here. Uh, we'll get to see. The difference between the 1.60 and 2 is less, then again slightly increase, then again 4 and 5 again increase, 6. Now see here the difference is 1. Okay, here the difference is 0.85. Okay, here the difference was zero point 0.5, here the difference was, let us say, 0.4. Here the difference is how much? 1.30. Here the difference is again maybe 1.70. Here the difference is 2. So as the size goes on increasing, the difference goes on increasing. Okay. So initially difference was less, difference go on increasing. Okay. This is the beauty of this preferred number series, right? So that is why we are getting a good wide space range. I hope you understand this. Okay. This is the first statement. Okay. Nextly, as I've already explained in initial stages, product is manufactured using a limited quantities. Means what? The company has to observe whether the product will sell or not. Okay, so it will manufacture by using the R5 series. As I said, if you want to manufacture also in initial stage, if you want to manufacture the limited quantities, you can go for the R5 series. And as the production scale increases, a change is made from, let us say, R5 to R10, and it will introduce a, means what? See guys, try to understand. We are changing the series R5 to R10 means what? You are introducing a new sizes. You are introducing a new sizes. I hope you understand. Is it clear? And you are introducing the new sizes means what? The production has increased. The scale of production has increased. So at the later stage. I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay. So, preferred numbers minimize the unnecessary variation in the size. They assist designer in avoiding selection of sizes in the arbitrary manner. So, see how it is helpful. Instead of selecting a random, let me select some 16, let me select some 25. So, the whole day will be spent in thinking. So, go and use the preferred numbers because it has some technical background. This is designed by a particular scientist. Use the preferred numbers and you can select the sizes. Okay, and very important, and for the last statement, the complete range is covered by the minimum number of sizes, thereby advantages to the consumer and the producer. Okay, so consumer is also getting whatever size it requires, and it is also helpful for the producer because it saves the cost, and ultimately the customer is happy because he will get it in a less price. I hope you understand this. Okay. Now just message me, have you understand this concept of preferred numbers? Yes or no? Have you understand the concept of preferred numbers? Yes? Message me. Again, flexibility is dealing with product design variations. Flexibility is that for the product design, it's supposed to that. Now, do you understand? Anybody? Please message the concept of aesthetic, preferred numbers, all the concept. Now we will move on to the engineering materials. Next part. Hello, anybody? Okay, shall we move on? Shall we move on? Okay. Chalo. Now next concept, my dear student, that is of the engineering materials. Now again, this is a part from the first model itself. Okay. So now let us understand. So already in the materials technology, we have already understand the concept of engineering materials. Okay. Now I will be specifically discussing about the material properties and the uses in design. What are the material properties and the uses in the design? This is what we will understand in this particular lecture. Okay. Now, before I before I go for this, I have just a small question for you. If I say that if I want a useful information concerning the behavior of material and its usefulness for engineering application, how can I obtain it? How can I obtain it? Are you understanding my question? If I want some information concerning the behavior of material and its usefulness for engineering applications, how will I obtain it? Which is the test which we do from which I can get a lot of useful information, or which is the graph which after plotting that particular graph I am getting a lot of information. Yes, can anybody tell me what is the name of that graph or what is the name of that curve? There are two curves which we have understand, and what is the name of the step or what is the basic test which we do? What is the basic stage test which we do? Can anybody? No? No? The basic test which we have done lot of time in the strength of material. Yes. What is the test called as? The test is called as the tension test. So basically, we do the tension test, right? So from the tension test, what we get? See, tension test is one of the simplest and basic tests, and it determines the values of number of parameters concerned with the mechanical properties of material. Yes, I wanted that answer. Dr. Bhushan is correct. Stress strain curve. This is very important curve. Now we have two curves, one for the ductile material and one for the brittle material, and both are useful if you are not knowing or not remembering the stress strain curve. First, go to your SOM subject, SOM book, open the book of the SOM, any Google out, and first of all learn that concept, stress strain curve, because these all concepts are very important. Otherwise, how will you select the material? Okay, so basically, from this tension test, we are getting the graph of stress strain curve for ductile and the brittle material. And from this curve, what we obtain? We obtain the mechanical properties of a material. Which mechanical properties we obtain? Like strain, ductility, toughness, etc. Okay, we are getting a proportional limit, we are getting elastic limit. What else we can get? Modulus of elasticity, yield strength, ultimate tension strength, modulus of resilience, modulus of toughness, percentage innovation, percentage reduction area, and all that. Now, guys, you will say that you don't have to do all this stuff. Okay, all this stuff is experimentally done and placed in the PhD design data book. You have to just and go and select the material. Let us say you are selecting a C30 carbon steel. It's a ductile material or brittle material. It's a ductile material. So see what is the yield strength for the ductile carbon steel. So from the PhD data book, you will directly get. Let us say SYT is 200. 200 Newton per meters to mm square. What is the HYT? Yield strength for what is the name of the material? C30. Now question is that how will you select C30? There are a lot of conditions. There is a lot of material C40, C45, C50, C60. Lot of materials are available in the PhD design database. Now, which material to select? C30, C40, C45. No need to do the tension test. It is already done. All the data is incorporated. You just have to understand which material to select. So that I will teach you in this particular lecture, engineering materials, and also I will help you to understand at the time of the design. Is it clear? Okay. Shall we start? Chalo. So material properties and their uses in design. So these are the four criteria from which we are selecting the material. Okay. So selection of proper material for the machine component is one of the most important steps in the machine design process. I will say that rather is the first step, selection of material. Okay. The best material is one which serves the purpose at minimum cost. Very important dialogue. I have not written this dialogue for the time pass. Sometimes what happens, I go on talking and you may not listen it. So at least you can read it out. Okay. So best material is one which will serve the purpose at minimum cost. Means it will serve all this purpose, especially mechanical properties, but at a less cost. It is not always easy to select such a material, and the process will involve trial and error method. Obviously, okay, it's a trial and error method, but there are four factors which are especially considered while selecting a material. What are the four factors? Availability, cost, mechanical properties, and manufacturing consideration. Let us discuss one by one fast. Availability. Okay. So availability means what? What do you mean by availability? Material should be readily available in the market in large quantities to meet the requirement. Let us say if there are two materials, C30 and let us say C40. The C40 material, plain carbon steel, is not available, and C30 is available in the abundance, but the mechanical property of C40 and the C30 is not having so much difference. Okay, so I can work out with the C30 and the cost is also less for the C30. So we I will prefer the C30. I hope you understand. So it's not like that, the standard process is saying that you have to select the C40. No, you can go for the C30 if the requirement is specified. So it's like the designer has to take a call. Okay. So, for example, cast iron and aluminum are always available in abundance. Okay, and lead alloy and copper alloys is a common experience. Shortage of lead alloy. So these two materials are used in a very specific application. But cast iron and aluminum you will find in lot of applications. Nowadays, even in the automotive vehicle body also, composite aluminums are used. Okay. Next is cost. Limiting cost for every application beyond his designer cannot do. As a designer, as an engineer, designer, the company will specify you that you have to manufacture the automotive car in the range of 4 to 5 lakhs. Okay. So this is the budget. This is the budget you have been given. So obviously, as the material quality goes on increasing, the material cost will also go on increasing. So designer has the limitation. Okay. So there is a some case that you have to exceed the limit. No, I have to exceed the limits. So alternative material is the option, right? Okay. Now, very important that in cost analysis there are two main factors. What are the two main factors? First is cost of raw material. Okay. First is cost of raw material, and second is cost of processing the material into the finished goods. For example, if the cost of material is very low, the cost of material is very low, but if that material is not suitable and you have to machine it, you have to do some manufacturing processes which are very costly. Manufacturing operations are very costly. Ultimately, the material will also the price of the material is also increase and the price of product will also increase. So you have to take care of both the cases. Whenever you're selecting a raw material, you have to also understand that whether it has to be processed or not. If there are two material available, let us say C40 and C50. C50 is slightly costly as compared to the C40, but C50 do not need any manufacturing operations and C40 needs some manufacturing operation. So ultimately the cost of C40 will increase. So which material you will select? C50. Is it clear? Okay. But again, guys, I am trying to explain that there is no need to. You have to remember this, but no need to understand all these things. Okay, because depending upon the application, once you are familiar with the design process, it will get fit in your mind that for specific product, for specific element, which material to use. For example, a transmission shaft, okay, select C30, C40. It is in your mind. Okay, that gets fit into it. Each time you don't have to go through this. Okay, but this is a basic process. Basically, all the work has been done. We have to just go and do a selecting. Okay. Next is mechanical properties. Now, obviously, the mechanical properties, materials are characterized by their properties. Materials are characterized by their mechanical properties. Hard, ductile, heavy, soft, brittle. Okay. So I will not go into the detail. I will just revise. See, what are the physical properties? Physical properties means what? Density, melting point, electric, thermal. This is the physical properties you have to look for. What are the mechanical properties you have to understand? Strength, stiffness, okay, strength, stiffness, elasticity, okay. So now already you have studied all these properties. Already you have studied all these properties in the strength of material. So I will not go into the definition of it. Plasticity. Instead, I will explain you some examples. I will give you some applications, right, where this point will get covered. Ductility, brittleness, toughness, grip, fatigue, hardness. Okay. Ductility, toughness, grip, fatigue, hardness. So these are all mechanical properties which the material Now it is not compulsory that every material should satisfy all the factors. Some application, the stiffness is not required. Strength is required. For example, take an example of a spring. Now in spring, strength is required, yes. Stiffness is required, yes. Elasticity is required, yes. No need of brittleness, no need of toughness, creep. Maybe fatigue is also required. Maybe hardness is also required. So that's depending upon what element you are designing, you have to accordingly select the material based on what mechanical properties are required. Is it okay? Let us take an example. Okay. Because I am not interested in the definition, I am interested in the example. Okay, design. Okay. Let us take an example of a connecting rod. Now, I am saying that as an engineer, you want to select the connecting rod, material for the connecting rod. So, first of all, you have to understand the connect what type of stresses connecting rod will withstand. So, material for connecting rod of an internal combustion engine should be capable of withstanding fluctuating stresses because in the connecting rod is continuously reciprocating with the and it is connected to the piston and with the camshaft, right? So material for connecting rod of an internal combustion should be such a that it should be capable of withstanding fluctuating stresses, right? There are no any static stresses, there are fluctuating stresses. So depending upon the stresses, very important, depending upon the loading condition, the material will change and the selection criteria will change. So what is the selection criteria? Endurance limit. Now don't worry about what is endurance limit. In the model number 4, sorry, model number 3, when I will explain you the bearing stresses, I will explain you this. Okay? So, is it clear? Next, piston rings. Now, have you understand? See, why I have taken, because already you have taken the IC engine. Na? So that is why I have taken this example. Piston rings should have hard surface to resist the wear due to the rubbing action between the cylinder surface and cylinder surface. Because you know that the piston rings are placed on the piston and the it is rubbing and it is connect. It is a seal between the piston cylinder and the piston. So there will be a rubbing action between the piston ring and the what can I say piston ring and the piston cylinder, right? So obviously, what will be the mechanical property required? Hardness. So surface hardness is the selection criteria. I hope you understand. In bearing materials, low coefficient of friction is desirable. Okay, and see in bearing materials, low coefficient of friction is desirable, and in clutch or brake lining, high coefficient of friction. See, the clutch plate is basically friction plate, and brake liners are basically friction pads. So there obviously you require a high coefficient of friction. Otherwise, the brake will not get applied. Otherwise, the clutch will not get engaged. But in bearings, the bearing has to rotate at a specific speed. So there has to be a low coefficient of friction. Okay. So friction is the selection criteria. Next, material for automobile body should have the ability to extensively deform because we have to create a sheet panels. We have to create a sheet panels for the automotive body. So what is the criteria? Elasticity. So now, obviously, you will select such a material which will fulfill the plasticity. You will select a material which will fulfill the friction criteria, which will fulfill the surface criteria, which will fulfill the endurance criteria. Okay. So is it necessary now to go into the definition of strength and all? I think no. Okay. Next. Now, last but not least, manufacturing considerations. Now, guys, tell me what are the manufacturing operations? What are the manufacturing processes? Manufacturing processes are casting, forging, extrusion, welding, and machining. Okay, so all this manufacturing process, casting, forging, extrusion, welding, and machining govern the selection of material. Now, again, I will not go into the definition. I will go into the example. Okay, let's take an example. Free cutting steel. Now, free cutting steels have excellent machinability, right? Free cutting machinability means what? They can easily machine. See, we have to create a thread profiles. We have to create a thread profiles, na? So so what will be the application for these bolts, axle, shaft? So free cutting steel So you can also use a plain carbon steel for the bolts, axis and shaft also. But free cutting steels are more suitable, right? Try to understand this. Next, for complex shape, product castability is the selection criteria. Let us take an example of a IC engine housing. IC engine housing, right, in which the cylinder is placed. So, you can take an example of a gearbox housing. Gearbox housing. So, when the shapes are complex, you will use a casting process, right? So, I hope you understand that. So, depending upon the manufacturing considerations, also you have to select the material. For example, for a cylinder, okay, for IC engine cylinder, you will not use any plain carbon steel. No? You will go for the cast iron. Okay, and nowadays some aluminum alloys are also used. That is a different part. So, in fabricated assemblies of plates and rods, weldability becomes the selection criteria. So, when you are assembling the plates and the rod, so welding is the manufacturing process. So, accordingly, you have to select the material. If you select such a material which will not get welded, what is the use? I hope you understand this. Okay. So now I hope you understand that these are the four criteria: cost, sorry, availability, cost. What is the third criteria I said? Availability, cost, and the third one is I forgot. Mechanical properties, and fourth one is manufacturing consideration. So this question mainly will ask in the exam. Material properties and the uses in design. Is it clear with the example? I hope it is clear to all of you. Now just I will classify and then we'll stop. So what are the types of engineering materials? So I am not going into all the types. I am just concerned with the metals and alloys because metals and alloys I'll be using in the syllabus. That is the design of engineering materials. Okay. So just you should know classification. So engineering materials are classified as metallic, non-metallic. In metallic we are using ferrous, non-ferrous. So from ferrous we have steels, plain carbon steels, alloy plain steels, carbon steels, and alloy steel. In cast iron, we have gray, white, variable, ductile, modular. Non-ferrous, we have aluminum, copper, magnesium, tin, zinc, lead, nickel, other. So these are the materials which we normally use. And in non-metallic materials, plastic, wood, paper, rubber, leather, petroleum, inorganic, mineral, cement, glass, ceramic. These are organic. These are organic means what? Available in the nature. Inorganic means what? Manufactured by the industrials. Okay. So these are some engineering materials which are specifically used in the machine design. Is it clear? I hope you understand this. Okay.